So we have had a lot of philosophy in the past weeks, a lot of headaches for you. This time there will be a change. We will just have, in a way you can say, storytelling, but story with a great message. As you know that 1st of May is what is Buddha Jayanti, and we try every year on and around this day to discuss the wonderful life and the teachings of Lord Buddha. So today we will, as you know, it is the 4 great sides. The talk is there, my discussion is there. You know what the 4 great sides are which change Buddha's life. So we will discuss it on the basis of a wonderful life written on Buddha. There are many lives, and you must have read some of them. And at one time I was deeply, engaged in the study of Buddha and his. Then I read many of his lives, which I could get hold on. But this, on the basis of which we will discuss today, is a very unique sort of life, because it is written in a very unique way, and the author has actually, as if entered into the hearts of Buddha and his father, his wife, etc. So it is portrayed very beautifully. Naturally, we will just read some highly edited version because there is no time regarding it is only those related to our topic, and that also may not be able to complete today. Then we will have another discussion. So anyway, you can see for yourself. I've tried to arrange it in a way which we will all enjoy, the beautiful English also and the wonderful message also. So we will begin with the chanting from one of Sanskrit stotras on Lord Buddha, and at the end we will chant the whole thing, just 2 verses. Loke kleshagni santapte pradurbhuto maharadaha namostu bodhisattvaya sambuddhaya namo namah ajnana timire loke pradurbhuta pradipakah namostu bodhisattvaya sambuddhaya namo namah. When the world is scorched by the fire of suffering, there arises the one of vast and boundless heart. Salutations to the Bodhisattva. Salutations again and again to the fully awakened one. When the world is enveloped in the darkness of ignorance, there appears the one who becomes its radiant lamp. Salutations to the Bodhisattva. Salutations again and again to the fully awakened one. So, Buddha does not need any introduction to any of us. He was one of the greatest spiritual teachers of mankind. And in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, maybe you have read the entry related to April 21, 1886. It is said that Sri Ramakrishna himself has said to Swami Abhedananda, Buddha is an incarnation of God. How can you compare him to anybody else? As he was great, so too are his teachings great. And many things can be said about Lord Buddha, but we will not go into any detail here. We will just go 2 sources. One is a Buddhist scholar, and of course another one, some sentences from what Swami Vivekananda has said about Buddha. So Buddhist scholar has said, perhaps never while the world has lasted has there been a personality who has wielded such a tremendous influence over the thinking of humanity. and who recognizes this will also recognize that almost 2.5 millenniums ago, the supreme summit of spiritual development was reached, and that at that distant time, in the quiet hermit groves along the Ganga, already had been thought the highest that man can think. And Swami Vivekananda has said a great deal about Buddha, so we will see some portions of it. First of all, in Buddha's day, what was the situation? Regarding that, Swamiji says, in Buddha's day, the masses of people were debarred from all knowledge because of our rigid caste system in those days. The situation was that such that if just a word of the Vedas entered the ears of a human being of a lower caste, terrible punishment was visited upon him. The priests had made a secret of the Vedas that contained the spiritual truths discovered by the ancient Hindus. At last, one man could bear it no more. He had the brain, the power, and the heart. A heart as infinite as the broad sky. He felt how the masses were being led by the priests and how the priests were glorifying in their power. And he wanted to do something about it. He himself did not want any power over anyone. He wanted to break the mental and spiritual bonds of men. His heart was large, and he also had the brains to discover the means of breaking this bondage. He learned why men suffer, and he found the way out of suffering. He was a man of great accomplishment. He worked everything out. He taught one and all without distinction and made them realize the peace of enlightenment. This man was Bhagavan Buddha. And he says, the life of Buddha has a special appeal. All my life I have been very fond of Buddha. I have more veneration for that character than for any other. That boldness, that fearlessness, and that tremendous love. He was born only for the good of men. Others may seek God, may seek truth for themselves, but he did not even care to know truth for himself. He sought truth because people were in misery. How to help them, that was his only concern. Throughout his life, he never had a thought for himself. How can we, ignorant, selfish, narrow-minded human beings, ever understand the greatness of this man? So now we will start the narration from that life. We will start from Buddha's birth and slowly lead up to that point when he saw those sights and was completely transformed. So let's start from the beginning. Nearly 2500 years ago, in the city of Kapila in northern India, the spring came with all glory. And surely nowhere in all the three worlds is spring more gracious. For the sunshine, life-giving and inspiring season draws divine scents from moist earth, and the deep luxuriance of leaves and flowers to send on every breathing breeze pure incense from the world, rejoicing as a bride in the all-enfolding delight. So I'm keeping all the things. I'm keeping some of the language also beside, because everything is a part of the story. So here stood the little city of Kapila, nobly placed, as becomes the birthplace of the perfect one. And above it, the Himalayas stormed the skies with tossing billows of snow, leading the aspiration of man on and up until it melted into the divine. The city and surrounding country, a part of the great kingdom of Kosala, were inhabited by the Shakya clan. Very great was the kingdom of Kosala. The vast and holy city of Banaras, 100 miles south from Kapila, was but one of its cities. So in that province, everything was there at that time. And its capital Savitri, lay in the cloudy mountains of Nepal. So maybe it is Savitri, but in Pali, there is a change. Like Pali, we say Dharma, they will say Dhamma, like that. Some names are changed like that. So anyway, and the happy people of this kingdom had a good king, Maharaja, Shuddhodana. Shuddha Udana, it may be, I think, broken up. Pure rice, the name means. Pure food actually, pure intake. Because not only were his granaries and those of his fathers before him full to overflowing, but his heart was also pure like the grains of a living pearl. He was a man grave and kind, rich also in cattle and elephants, but not arrogant with riches. He was charitable, almsgiving. He revered the Brahmanas and ascetics and all those walking in peace. And he had taken to wife two fair sisters, the elder Maya, the younger Prajapati. And by the elder had as yet no child, and by neither he had a son who could succeed him as a ruler. And this was a grief to him, for he was always thinking when he was gone, who should sacrifice to his soul? That Pitri Arpana and the souls of the great dead fathers. Very sweet and grateful is the tenderness of daughters, but this they cannot do. So he was always, in his heart he was praying for a son. And one day, as he sat with the queens in the pleasure pavilion besides the waters of Rohini, that's the name of a river, listening to her song of the snows as she danced onward, the wives were heard lamenting because a son had not yet been born to them. Laying his hand on the head of Maya, the Maharaja spoke softly, "Don't grieve, my ladies." Then he reminded them of what a rishi who had come once had said. So he said, don't grieve, and you must remember the words of the wandering rishi, the ascetic, who had come and prophesied that in this city, in this fortunate palace, will be born a child who will be a ruler of men, who will be a king among kings. May it be here and now, said Maya. And again softly she said, may we be found worthy. There was a long silence, and only Rohini, the river, talked of sweet secret things as she went her way. Now that night, Maya, the great lady, asleep beside her lord in the pleasure pavilion, when moonlight blanched the dewy lawns like snow, had an extraordinary dream. This dream came not flitting ghostly along the ways of sleep. But sometimes so many things come we don't remember, just like one glimpse. But this was not like that. Not flitting ghostly among the ways of sleep, nor with the morning dissolving cloud-like. Many times we dream something in the morning, but as soon as we wake up, we just forget it. It was not like that. It was not elusive, something which could not be grasped. But it was a clear dream, majestic and beautiful. So that she found herself sitting up, awake, aware and breathless. And with an awakening hand laid upon her husband, she spoke. Beloved, awake, I have dreamt. I saw that the heavenly spirits, shining as stars, came about me and bathed me in the pure waters of a mountain lake, freeing me from all human stain. And when this was done, they laid me down again, clothing me in the gold of divine garments and shedding perfumes about me. And then I saw a lordly elephant, white as silver, wandering beneath the trees. For, as you know, this is the symbol of royalty, the elephant. And touching me on the right side with his trunk, he appeared to melt into a cloud and pass like vapor into my womb. In the darkness I have seen a great light shine, and in the air myriads of radiant spirits sang my joy. So the king heard this, and now he also in amazement told the queen, that to him also the spirits had said in a dream that a child will be born when the flower star shines in the east. So in the olden days, they tried to interpret dreams, and he was a king, so he had access to many astrologers, many dream readers. So he called some of the dream readers and he told them, this dream has come, what do you make of it? So they could see nothing but good in that dream. And being called in before the Maharaja, where he sat with the queens, they spoke as follows. A lord of men shall be born, a great and powerful ruler. Let the soul of the Maharaja be exalted, and the heart of the Maharani rejoice and triumph, since to their house is given a son, whose kingdom will be the whole earth. And then the Maharaja shouted for joy, while the Maharanis listened with dreaming eyes. So the king said, for he shall conquer the earth, and the trampling of his elephants be heard like thunder, and Kosala shall be his kingdom, and Magadha prostrate before his feet, because Magadha was very, very powerful kingdom. So he can only think of conquest in that way, you see. So Magadha will prostrate at his feet, and riches and glory shall be the slaves of the conqueror for ever and ever. So this was what the Maharaja said. But then his queen said, for ever and ever, yet there is death. Now the dream readers heard this, and they told, looking up with reverence where they knelt before their diagrams and circles, they said, great lady, they said to the queen, great lady, there are riches that death cannot thieve, death cannot take away. There are conquests that time does not triumph over. there is an empire that passes not away. What the fate of this child is to be, we cannot yet tell. It bewilders us. For great and auspicious are the signs. They are not plain reading as is the custom. Means like other people, ordinary people, it is plain. But one who is to be born is so great and the signs are not clear. It may be that the child will be a sage, dominating the souls of men, ruling by pure wisdom. But here the Maharaja interrupted. So the king said in anger, "Be silent, for this I will not have. The men of my race are Kshatriyas, warriors. The Brahmin, ascetic, the hermit have their sacred uses. It is okay. And may the guardian gods forbid that I should say anything bad about them. But my son is my son. And he will be a warrior. And if the signs are great, it is a warrior's greatness that I claim for him." But still, the dream readers lingered in doubt. "Great sir, there is more to be told. And very wonderful. 2 ways lie before the child to be, and we cannot say on which he will finally walk. So the condition is this: if, when he is of age to judge, when he has reached mature age, he sees these 4 sights, 4 great sights. What if he sees a sick man, an old man, a dead man, and a monk? Then great and wide will be his kingdom, but not of this world. But if he does not see these signs, he shall be the king of the earth, magnificent in riches, glory, and power. Therefore, it is in your hands," they told the king, "to choose what he sees, what he does not see." So the dream is read. Means we have done what you told us to do. "Gladly and gloriously it is read," shouted the Maharaja. "No such sights shall my son see. Leave spiritual things to spiritual men, but he shall reign forever and ever." And bowing down with minds perplexed, the dream readers gathered up their calculations and departed. And in the city they spread the news, and the whole kingdom rejoiced. So now, on a certain day, when spring with her birds and blossoms came to earth, the Maharani, following the customs of the ladies of her race, with her sister, made ready all the matters and entered the presence of her husband, speaking thus: "O Lord, it is a habit of my people that when our children are born, it is in the house of the parents. So have I then your permission to journey to them for the auspicious birth which is coming?" So naturally the permission was granted, and the queen departed for her father's place. But on the way, while passing through the Lumbini garden, the queen decided to take rest. And suddenly, as they stood beneath a great palsa tree, she knew that the life of all growing things and of the divine earth and the mountains and skies lived within her, and that the time had come. And there in the Lumbini grave, her son was born, not like any other human being, but absolutely painlessly. So it was told afterwards that for wardens, the 4 heavenly kings stood about that child, guarding him as it were. and that the air was thronged with those of birds of heaven and happy shining ones, singing and rejoicing. Like we see in all the narrations, Christ, Krishna, everyone. So Buddha was born, and after some time, Maya Devi returned to her kingdom. And then an incident happened which is very similar to the incident in the life of Christ. One great sage had come and he had prophesied. But he was also sad that he would not live to see the great things which Christ would do. So here also there is an incident similar. Then to the rejoicing palace came one day an ascetic of pure life and understanding, a dweller on the holy heights of Himavat. Himavat means Himalayas. A great marvel worker, honored among all men, and he desired to enter the presence of the Maharaja. This was granted. Then he addressed the Maharaja, "Great sir, as I came on the sun's way, I heard the rejoicing of radiant spirits in the air. And when I asked them why were they glad, they triumphed in this verse." What did they say? "The wisdom child, that precious jewel, unmatched, unrivaled, has been born in Lumbini, in the happy land of the Shakyas, for the good and joy of all the men in the world. Therefore have I come. Please lead me now to that young child, so that I may also see him and rejoice. And you, king, you also rejoice, for most surely it is owing to righteous deeds in former lives that this celestial being has come to your home." And the Maharaja, dumb with love and pride, led the way to the palace where the child slept. That holy man saw Buddha. He saw all the signs of the body, and he was assured that this will be the Buddha, perfect in enlightenment. So he saw, read and comprehended all the signs with the heart which could hardly hold his joy. And seeing these wonderful birth portents, tears rolled down his cheeks. So when the father king saw him crying, he was afraid. And he immediately bowed at the ascetic's feet and said, "Oh, why are you grieving? Why these tears? Is the child doomed? Do we lose him? Forbid it. Should I lose my treasure?" But the ascetic consoled him. He immediately answered, "So, sir, have no fear. Good and better than good are the potents. I was weeping for myself. This child will rule the world, but I, by reason of my age, shall not live to see it. Deep and wide and full will be the river of his law. The earth shall be glad for him, and mighty will be the glory of his dominion." Having said this, the ascetic departed mysteriously. Then came a tragic event. Just some days, on the 7th day after Buddha was born, his mother passed away, Maya Devi passed away. So the queen's second wife now took over the responsibility of bringing up the child, who was named Siddhartha. Siddha Artha. Siddha means success. So one who has attained his aim is Siddhartha. The child soon became a young boy, and now the time for instruction came. He should be taught by a guru. So it is said that the king, after taking the opinion of his courtiers and all, he summoned for their task for teaching the child the wise and saintly sage Vishwamitra. These are all same names come again and again. Vishwamitra, Vashishta. And the boy was brought before him. and made due obeisance to his teacher. But when Vishwamitra started teaching the child, he found that there was nothing which he did not know. And Vishwamitra heard and trembled. Trembled means he was amazed. And at last, seeing that this matter was very deep, incomprehensible and wonderful, he bowed down before the child and closing up his books, went his way, marveling. Same in the Jesus life of Jesus also we see, in Sri Ramakrishna's life also we see. So everything seemed to be good, but yet let it not be thought. Now Maharaja came to everything that this child was extraordinary. So let it not be thought that Maharaja Shuddhodana beheld all these portents with a heart of ease, for mingled with all his pride and joy was fear. His son moved before him, exceedingly beautiful, perfect in duty, not only to his father and foster mother, but also to all with whom he had to do. He was quick to smile and reply, and yet he was apart. So see how it is described, wonderful description. As a man looking down through the clear crystal of a lake may behold beneath it groves of strange leafage, where silver fish dart and disappear in a life unknown to him. So you see in a lake, you see deep below, but when you see deep, you see something mysterious. You cannot understand. So the Maharaja, looking through the eyes of his son, saw something which they hid, which he could not understand. And in his eyes he saw a world in which he, the king, had no part. So time passed. Many things are said in the life. It is many things are said. This life is by L. Adams Beck. Whenever you like, you can read the whole thing. So time passed. The child became a noble youth. One day the Maharaja sent for the minister, an old man, wise man, and to him he said, "Is all well in the city and the country?" The old minister, saluting, said, "Yes, Maharaja, all is well. And since the birth of your auspicious son, how could it be otherwise?" Then Maharaja gave a long sigh. "This is true, and who should rejoice more than I? But still, my heart is consumed with anxiety. For my son is not like the other young nobles, free and gay and enamored of sports and battle and enjoyment, but he is the opposite, rather enduring than sharing the frolics suited to his age. And when I see him meditating beneath the rose laurels and mark his calm, abstracted eyes, it recalls to me the saying of the sage Asita, that embarking in the boat of wisdom, he shall save the world from peril. If this be the cold wisdom of the wanderers and forest dwellers, then I desire none of it." King is telling. Because if he embarks on that boat, it will mean to be severed from all power and from all things dear and desirable to the heart of man. So these people can think of nothing else, you see. They think that only the world contains anything to be desired. So, what then is your counsel? So he asked the minister, what do you plan to do about it? To this the aged minister replied, Great sir, who shall challenge fate and the unwritten laws of the divine? We cannot do anything about it. I will own that sometimes in the noble youth's presence, I also have felt, as it were, a cold air blowing between him and me. Even the sage is telling like that. As though he stood apart from lesser men. All these great personalities, it is like that. So when Swami Vivekananda stood upon that parliament of religion, there are many reminiscences. People who saw him. So there is one reminiscence by a lady. So she said that this person was emanating power of Swami Vivekananda, she said. But I could not make out what was different from other persons in his appearance, or he looked like everybody else. But he was different. So here also the same thing. So he said, Buddha stands apart from, Siddhartha stands apart from lesser men. And more than once this thought has occurred. So this person is telling, see, I have been thinking, what? Suppose the noble Siddhartha is a bodhisattva. Now bodhisattva is a person who is striving towards or who has attained bodhi. Bodhi means awakening. Enlightenment or Buddhahood. So that is a bodhisattva. So this person is telling the courtier that so great is this boy's power that sometimes I think, is he a bodhisattva? But it may not be thus, because a bodhisattva or Buddha being born is such a rare thing upon the earth. Maybe hundreds of years, maybe one Buddha will be born. But problem is, in this field, there is neither knowledge nor experience which can guide us. So who can tell whether he is a bodhisattva or not? I cannot say. So Maharaja said, yes, you voice my fear also. I am also afraid. He is not like others. So what to do? Give me some counsel. You are there for giving me counsel. So give me counsel so that we may divert him. So that fill his mind with beauty and bliss. And these cold visions may blow away like mists at sunrise. And everybody, all of us will be glad then. Then, smiling in a subtle way, the old man answered, there is one way and one only. So you know what is the way. And they chose Yashodhara, the daughter of the great king Suprabuddha, as Siddhartha's bride to be. So the marriage took place, and of all men who witnessed it, they said that none more beautiful could ever meet their eyes than the silver bride hand in hand with the golden bridegroom. Both of them were such personalities, shining as the sun. And the Maharaja thought, now everything, now no problem. Ultimate, this has been given, temptation. And the Maharaja, laughing aloud for triumph and gladness, said to the old minister, we have caught our bird. Thanks be to the God of love. But the old man replied, Great sir, it may not be so easy. Let us wait. We are not yet secure. He is not an ordinary person. That is the problem. So time went by, and since he had snared his bird, Maharaja Shuddhodana resolved that the fetters should be gilded. See the language. So the bird has been caught. That is okay. But now gild his feathers so that he will be even more, there is no chance of escape. So calling his minister again, he said to me. So he wanted to surround Siddhartha with such joys that he could not even think of anything beyond. That is the thing. So he said, if a man could cage a bird of heaven, and I think such is my son, it is necessary that the earth should be made of heaven, be made heaven. Is it not? If a bird from heaven is to be caught, you have to make the earth heaven, otherwise he will go back. So now we have to make the earth heaven, so that no homesickness should be there for him. So what to do? See the language. Give orders to build him a house for the winter, where the snow is blue in the hollows of Himalayas and the rivers are locked in his cold heart. See that it be warm and silent, and that no cold wind may creep in, and let white furs of snow leopards, clouded with black, lie about it, soft and smooth to the touch, and let there be storytellers to speed the long nights, winter nights, with jest and amorous tales and clash of battle. Shut out the cold and terrible moon with close lattice work and rich curtains. For she, remote and small, that moon, remote and small, in the blue profound skies, so that she may not freeze his soul. So this is house for winter. But that is not enough. Build for him also a house of spring. Let it be pavilioned, with frilled roofs flying outwards like the skirts of a dancer when she revolves swiftly. On every point set a wind bell to resemble her anklets and armlets in their tinkling, so that the soft breeze from the hills shall make an aerial music as they wander about it. So all those bells, sometimes they put on doors also. Chimes, yeah. So when wind is there, so let it appear as if the whole were blown together like a cloud on a wind, and might be lifted and dispersed like thistledown, a dream of spring. This is also not enough. We must also build a house for summer, to drowse in, dim and cool, and with a long echoing, there's a word here I don't know the meaning, colonnades, to catch the faintest breath of breeze. Let this house be set in the grass by Rohini, means it should be near the river Rohini, that a liquid voice may sing of the snows when the days are sultry, and let it be paved with shining stone from the mountains, and the walls be of dark cedar, carved wonderfully, and all the windows dimmed and latticed, that the heats die on the threshold. Heat does not come inside. See the language. Let there be a lake in which my son may sit under the languor of slowly dropping water shall pass into his veins and be like a narcotic, binding him forever to long dreaming days and nights, and he will be utterly content. So the king has said, and of course, old man saluted, saying, of course, it will be done. And now, just to make sure what is going on, I shall visit my son's wife and From here I will have first-hand knowledge, what is going on in Siddhartha's mind. So approaching Yashodhara, the king said, "Noble daughter, you have now been wedded to my son for 6 months. Is all well with you?" And Yashodhara replied, "Great father, all is well. And I did not know that in all the world there was such joy as I share night and day with my dear Lord. For he is beautiful beyond all beauty, beyond all goodness, good, and his gentleness of speech is not like a weak person, but his gentleness is also is full of strength behind it, like the Himalayas. And when he smiles, it is like sunshine. Everything is well, and yet." Immediately the Raja heard this "and yet," and he said, "Yes, this and yet is the problem. Everything is all right, and yet, when I command my ministers to surround my son with all joy, to bind and hold him, he obeys, but ends always with and yet." So you don't end in this way, my daughter. You tell me, speak up, what is the problem exactly? Then Yashodhara, kindling her courage, looked at the king with clear, unsullied eyes. She said, "Father, all I have said is true. But there is also this. Sometimes, in the midst of the rejoicings and song, and when the feast is spread with great fruits cooled with snow, and purple wines in cut crystal cups are set to his hand, then often I know that though his fair body is among us, his soul has escaped and fled away. And in her 2 eyes there stood tears, gathered but did not fall." Now his father said, True, it is true. But what is that thing? For I too have felt it. When I have spoken of wealth and power and pride, I have known that, as you, daughter, say, his soul has escaped and gone. I cannot tell where. So now one day, Yashodhara found Siddhartha sitting under the green shade of a tree. His hands, palm upward, lay him on his knees. His eyes were fixed on the everlasting hills. Neither joy nor sorrow troubled his calm brows, lost in deep meditation. The deep meditation walled him, as in crystal from the fair shores around, and her coming was nothing to him, for he neither saw nor heard. Then a wave of anguish arose in the heart of Yashodhara until it split in salt and bitter water from her eyes. And she could not restrain herself from that forbidden show of sorrow. Because king had said nobody should cry before Siddhartha. He should not know what sorrow is. But Yashodhara felt such an anguish she could not control. So weeping she said to Siddhartha, "Our father asked me, Lord of my soul, whether you still escaped away in soul from all the love and laughter about you. For when this is so, is it not that we fail to make you glad?" So she thinks she is guilty. That if he goes away in his mind, either she or his father has not done enough. "O heart of my heart, what more is there that we have not done?" Tell me and we will do that. Siddhartha answered, nothing. Looked above her head to the heights. Then again she caught his hands and said, then, O beloved, if we have done all but still fail, then what is it that draws you away from me? What is your soul's desire? It has been a terror biting into my soul. When waking in the white moonlight, I have seen you sitting with alien eyes fixed upon the great march of the stars. And yet I have kept silent. But now I ask this, where does your soul go? To whom? I cannot tell, Siddhartha said. Then Yashodhara knelt before Siddhartha and said, O noble one, is it life or death that draws you? Again she had made a mistake. You are not supposed to mention death. Siddhartha said, I cannot tell. But what is death? He did not know what is death. But now he says, now the main thing comes. He says now. So this kind of thing cannot be written by someone who has not imbibed this. That is the greatness of the author. So now he says, Siddhartha, I don't know what is death, but this much I know. What? Life such as this is very inexpressible. And how men endure it, I cannot know. Without change, break, or ripple, the shiny sun glides past. The days come and go, each bringing in its hand the same offering of love and peace, monotonous, as a dove's cooing. My life is without hope, for I have everything. So what is there to hope for? What meaning does my life have? And what I have is over sweet. It cloys in the tasting like honey. If this paradise, which is over sweet, can never crack asunder, means it can never go away. If ages and ages hence we shall sit here young and beautiful as today, then the gods have emptied their hands. We already have everything. And what is left for them to give us? So what to look forward to? This is a wonderful narration. So here we should pause and think. When I read this, I thought, this is such an important thing. Here we should think what is our idea of happiness. We who are in this world. We are dreaming a fancy dream, everything will be alright one day. Is that dream not something like which Siddhartha is experiencing right now? Have we ever thought what this being alright one day will be like? What are we dreaming for? What are we living for? So here this thought of Siddhartha shows that a life without challenges may appear heavenly, but in time that also becomes a burden. When every desire is fulfilled before it ripens, the human heart loses its capacity to wonder. Unbroken pleasure turns flat after a time. Sweetness, when it is constant, becomes cloying. What seems like paradise from a distance becomes a golden cage when lived without interruption. This is why even the most fortunate people in the world, eventually they feel this pressure of sameness. We imagine now that endless comfort is the goal of our life, but our own experience contradicts this dream. The truth is that human beings do not thrive in a world without contrast, or effort, or striving. Even those who possess unlimited wealth, fame, and success beyond measure, we all know, they dread retirement. Not that they have to work because they need more. They don't need anything. But because they fear the emptiness which will follow. You will see many CEOs continue to work till their 80s. They have already so much money. What they want, what they dread is the life when they are left to themselves. Athletes who could easily, rest on whatever their achievements are, still they don't want to retire. Because the silence after achievements feels heavier than the labor itself. Even ordinary people feel this truth, even ordinary people like us. If you go on a vacation, 2 days, 5 days, 7 days, eternal vacation, it will eventually become dull. Too much leisure will make the mind restless. These everybody experiences, all of us. So what do they reveal? They reveal a deeper law. If pleasure was the goal to strive for, then endless pleasure should not be a problem. So this very fact shows we are not actually nourished by these pleasures. What we seek actually is not unbroken enjoyment. Although we may think to be that goal. What we are seeking for is meaning. Meaning behind this life. And ultimately we are seeking transcendence. And behind all this longing, behind all this striving, there is a hunger. The longing for something which is beyond the world's sweetness and enjoyments. And the sages say that something is what? The vision of God. That joy is not like sense pleasures, which will be tired of one day. So here we see exactly that pleasure is accompanied by pain always. They are inseparable. So this is not an accident of life, but this is the nature of the world, nature of the finite world. Every pleasure carries within it the seed of its own exhaustion. For what begins in delight must end in decline, in loss. So even unbroken enjoyment becomes suffering. Because the mind which tastes its sweetness must also endure the dullness which will follow. So you know what hangover is. You may not have experienced it, but may have read about it. This exactly. All these pleasures have to have the reaction. We cannot escape. So Buddha's veriness is nothing but Vedantic law made visible to us. Where there is any kind of sense pleasure which will end one day, there has to be the reaction of sorrow. And this very fact reveals that the soul actually is not seeking the pleasures of the world. It is seeking something which is beyond this duality of pain and pleasure. It is seeking a bliss that does not depend on contrast. All these pleasures are relative. If someone is asking you how did this dish, was it tasty? If you say tasty, then you are actually comparing it with something which was not tasty. I had a very nice time means what? You are comparing with the period in which you did not have a nice time, although unconsciously. This means all these joy are relative. They will rise and they will fall. In the beginning also, we were not satisfied. In the end also, we will be empty-handed. And this one passage of Buddha's experience is so wonderful. So, it is time now. The 4 sides will have to come next time. It is wonderful. I have actually made it as concise as possible. But if I make it more concise, then it will lose its meaning. So language is wonderful and the thoughts expressed are wonderful. And the anguish of his father, his wife is... Without being a spiritual person, she could not have written this. So this book is on the public domain, you can all find it. I had read it long way back in Advaita Ashram, and I remembered it was because I had read it so many, again and again I read it.
Do you have a copy here?
Here we don't have, but on the internet it is free. So anyway, let us stop here. So you want this to be carried on next week or you want a gap?
Next week.
Okay.
Is it in English?
Yes, of course English. What do you think I've been reading till now, right?
I don't know. Maybe sense.
Om Shanti Shanti.